pleased to have the opportunity to discuss the reorganisation of the Reserve Defence Forces. And this is a key element of the response to the findings of the recommendation of the value for money review of the Reserve Defence Force, which was recently completed and published. The value for money review was undertaken by a steering committee with an independent chair. The steering committee was comprised of representatives from the Department of Defence, the Defence Forces and the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform. The steering committee concluded that the current reserve organisation was in need of radical reform. The review found that the current effective strength of the Army Reserve and Naval Service Reserve at 4,500 personnel is less than half that of the 9,692 personnel for which the organisation structures were designed. The Permanent Defence Force support framework was designed for a reserve of 9,692, and the retention of the existing numbers of full-time PDF personnel assigned to reserve duties was both inefficient and no longer sustainable, within the PDF strength ceiling of 9,500 personnel. In addition, there was significant issues with regard to the uptake of training in reserve over the period of the review. In 2011, less than half of the effective strength of 4,554 participated in 7 days paid and unpaid training. The details for other years are outlined in the review. The central recommendation of the Value for Money Steering Committee is for the retention in reserve with 4,000 personnel spread countrywide to be based in barracks and in 16 other locations. This requires the consolidation of existing reserve units throughout the country into a smaller number of full-strength units. The retention of all locations was not a viable or sustainable option. I accepted the Steering Committee's recommendations and directed that proposals for a new organisation structures be prepared, taking account of the value for money report and the major reorganisation of the PDF. The Chief of Staff and the Secretary-General submitted an agreed report which set out the detailed reorganisation proposals, included unit structures and the locational reserve units, and the Minister accepted all of these proposals. A new single force concept will see PDF units having reserve components rather than parallel reserve as at present. Reserve units within barracks will be supported by their parent PDF unit, and the 16 units outside the PDF installations will be supported by dedicated full-time PDF personnel. This concept offers significant potential advantages in terms of training and development of the reserve. The initiative of locating reserve officers within the Defence Forces management structure will likewise underpin the future of the reserve. These steps create a viable structure while addressing the inefficiency caused by having too many widely dispersed and understrength units. Direct expenditure of the reserve will reduce from 22 million in 2012 to 11 million in 2013. The cut in the number of PDF support staff accounts for the bulk of the reduction, whilst the money available for training activity by the reserve is being maintained. In order to ensure sufficient paid training for the strength level of 4,000 personnel, gratuities will be withdrawn and the budget redirected to increase the overall number of paid training mandates. Modest savings occur over time from the reduction in the reserve property, but is not the key driver for these reforms. You will appreciate that the smaller number of full-sized units outside the PDF installations must cover the entire country. Amongst other considerations, the selection of locations for these units sought to ensure continued opportunities for people throughout the country to serve in the reserve. These changes to the current reserve organisation are in response to a compelling case for reform and will dovetail with the significant changes that are occurring in the PDF organisational structures. They are intended to ensure a better reserve and enhance overarching defence capabilities. Finally, I would like to reiterate that the service of all members of the reserve is very much appreciated by the government, and I hope that all the personnel will continue to serve within the new shown to the members of the reserve. The reserve are very much aware of the value for money review that was being carried out, and you've stated yourself, for quite some time, and they were awaiting patiently the publication of the value for money review. This was brought into Cabinet on Tuesday last. It was passed in Cabinet. The Minister for Defence, Minister Shatter, brought the memo forward, and the reserve people and their officials were consulted after the decision of Cabinet. So you don't put the cart before the horse, and that you get it published and get the memo passed the Cabinet first, and then the reserves were briefed on the outcome of the value for money review. Let me state that I believe you're not giving the value for money review report, the new reserve as it will go forward, a chance even for it to happen. I believe the reserves will be stronger now than what they have been in the past. I understand people don't like change, but unfortunately we don't have the same budget as we had over previous years to maintain the service and the cadre that we have. But I can assure you that every member of the cadre that have been moved will be accommodated to the best of the Defence Forces capabilities in that they will be accommodated in every way possible. And I understand people don't like having to be moved, and I sympathise with them. But unfortunately, we're not in the same position as we were quite a number of years ago. And I know you said it's about choices. Every decision that's made in here is about choices. Of course, we all know that. But I cannot understand that you're a member of a party to come down here and you criticise every cutback that is happening. And at the same time, your party is in government in the north and is carrying out the very exact same cutbacks in the same areas. So, that is happening. And you can snigger away, but it's unbelievable the way you're to come down here and be a totally different public representative than your colleagues are that have to take some tough decisions in the north. So I outlined the savings that are there, and I can assure you that the government very much appreciates the work of the reserve and will continue to do so. First of all, the Minister is fully aware of the concerns that have been expressed concerning the death of Father Niall Molloy, and he sympathises greatly with the Molloy family. I'm sure deputies will join me in also expressing sympathy to other families down through the years whose loved ones were killed and where the perpetrators have not been brought to justice. The Minister has previously set out for this House the background of the Father Molloy case and the most recent developments with respect to the Garda examination of the issues raised by Father Molloy's family and others, and in particular Miss Gemma O'Doherty, who was writing for the Irish Independent. In summary, on foot of the concerns raised, the Garda Commissioner arranged for a Detective Superintendent to meet with Miss Doherty, as well as with family members. The purpose of this was to facilitate an assessment of whether there was evidence which was not available to the original investigational team, and a further investigation was required in this case. Shortly following the Minister's appointment, he inquired into the steps being taken by An Garda Síochána and was advised of the position. He has at all times emphatised the importance of all the relevant matters being thoroughly examined and investigated. The position is that the examination remains ongoing. The Garda authorities have indicated that during the course of the examination, additional information has been provided to an investigating Gardaí, identifying further lines of inquiry which have and had to be followed up. The Garda Commissioner has assured the Minister that each and every one of these lines of inquiry is being or will be pursued. The Minister also understands that the officers carrying out the examination are continuing to keep Father Molloy's family members updated on progress. The Minister is well aware, of course, of the many issues of concern which have been raised in the public domain surrounding the circumstances of Father Molloy's death and the context in which some of the inquiry has been considered desirable. But what needs to be considered first and foremost at present is that matters at the heart of the Garda examination relate to potential criminal liability in the context of possible charges. The best form of justice for Father Molloy's family will be for anyone who has any criminal liability in relation to this tragic death to be brought to account through facing charges. In the Minister's view, it would be deeply inappropriate to do anything which could prejudice the possibility of that happening. It is also crucial importance that the Gardaí receive the fullest cooperation from any individual who can provide any information of relevance to the inquiries being conducted. In any case which criminal behaviour is suspected, it is only through a Garda investigation where evidence of criminal wrongdoing is available through submission of a file by the the Director of Public Prosecutions that persons can be brought fully to account before the courts. A commission of judicial investigation or juristic inquiries cannot do this, nor can any other type of review, no matter how thorough or independent. Whatever questions there may be about the original investigation, people should not prejudice the outcome of the current Garda examination. That examination, in the Minister's view, must be allowed to proceed unhindered, and has been ensured by the Garda Commissioner that all relevant evidence will be fully pursued, wherever it may lead. The House will appreciate that ultimately a criminal prosecution has to be based on hard evidence, not rumour, speculation or conjured. The Garda examination has not been completed, and accordingly any media or other reports of its findings are of their nature speculative. In making these points, I want to make it clear that the Minister's commitment to reviewing the situation when he receives a final report from the Garda Commissioner remains firmly in place. Against that background, I hope that the House can accept that we all share the desire to see justice done as much as possible in this case. The Minister has tried to set out why, in the first instance, the best chance to achieve this lies with allowing the current Garda examination. The Minister, on foot of concerns raised with the Garda Commissioner, arranged for the Detective Superintendent to meet with Mr Doherty as well as other family members. And let me state as well, Deputy McGrath, that the Minister, following the Minister's appointment as Minister for Justice, inquired into the steps being taken by the Garda Síochána and was advised of position, and that he took a personal interest in this case himself. And I understand, I don't have the answers to some of the specific questions Deputy Creed and Deputy Phelan raised on how long this investigation will last before the Minister will ask for a conclusion and ask for some answers from the investigation. But I will relay the concerns that you have raised here today. Deputy Phelan stressed that the foundation of any justice system is the fundamentals of a fair procedure, and absolutely you're dead right in that statement. And I know you have raised issues to fairness in this specific case, and the issues that you have raised that you think were not felt, what you feel were not dealt with in an appropriate manner, I will relay those to the Minister. I know you spoke about, the three deputies spoke about inconsistencies within this case, and of allegation and cover-up and everything like that. So I can assure you that all of the concerns that you have brought forward here today, I will take them back to the Deputy. But I can assure you that the Minister has asked me to stress that he is very conscious of the distress that the relatives of Father Molloy must feel in this case, but the position remains that we must await for the outcome of the Garda examination before being able to consider the matter further. And as I have said, on behalf of the Minister and the Garda authorities, that they are very much aware of the need to deal with this matter speedily and expeditiously and fully, and possible that are keeping the family updated on any progress. And if the Gardaí feel that there are any evidence or unearthed which could lead to criminal prosecutions, obviously they will submit files to the DPP immediately. And upon receipt of the final report from the Commissioner, the Minister will then be in a position to properly consider the matter further.
Okay. Thank you.